Yo guys, what's up? Welcome back to r/IDontWorkHereLady, where Karen dumps water on an employee and loses $500. Before we start, I just wanted to mention that you are all very welcome to join our little community over at r/ripe stories on Reddit, where you can post your own entitled parents, I don't work here, pro revenge, etc. stories if you want me to read them out in a video. Please also remember to give them a tag so I know what they are about. But now let's dive right into the stories. What was she thinking? To set the story, I am a big guy, 6'3", 400 plus pounds and heavily tattooed. In no way do I look like I'm employed at a Christian store. I enter the store looking for a gift for a friend who's going through a rough patch. She's Christian and I knew she would appreciate a gift from there. Now I am dressed all proper since I came from a job interview. I'm talking dress shoes, dress slacks and nice green long sleeve shirt. I am aware that this ensemble gives off the vibe that either I work as a cashier or I am management. I was mistaken for cashier or floor employee. I settled on a nice illustrated Bible and cover. The cast is me and random lady RL, manager M. As I am wandering the store looking for other things I could add, I see RL staring at me. She was making noises and trying to get my attention. Now at this point I should mention I had my headphones in and I was playing some decidedly non-Christian music, aka Cradle of Filth. I nod and smile politely at RL and go about my business. Then I feel a not so gentle poke on my shoulder. I turn around and sure enough it was RL. I pop one of the headphones out and ask if everything was okay. She says in a typical Karen voice,
"Where's the book by Pastor such and such?"
I look at her and reply, "Don't know, ask an employee," and then I try to walk off. Her hand grabs me as I'm walking off. Keep in mind, I'm 400 plus pounds and she probably weighed 100 soaking wet. I dragged her, for lack of a better term, maybe 1.5 feet. She looks at me and says,
"Employees should treat customers better. I want to speak to a manager."
Now at this point, she's starting to make a scene and an actual manager walks over. Enter manager. What seems to be the problem here? I look at him and say, this lady asked me where a certain book is and I told her I did not know and to ask an employee. He looks at her and asks, is this true? She takes a moment and says,
"Yes, but look at how he's dressed. He's clearly an employee."
Keep in mind, I am dressed professionally, seeing as how I just came from a job interview. The manager just looks at her and says in a tired voice, "He doesn't work here. He has never worked here. He's not even in uniform." The store's uniform consisted of khaki dress pants and a black shirt with a huge cross and the store's name on the back. She mumbles and walks off in a huff. I ended up getting massive stuffed animal along with the Bible and cover. Bonus goodness, I make my way over to friend's apartment to give her the gifts. We end up talking for a good 2 hours, end up going out, and yesterday was our 3-year wedding anniversary. Okay, to be fair, I do know actually 2 or 3 people who are quite big and heavily tattooed and are Christians. But you're right, it's kinda unlikely that someone like that would work in a Christian store. I am not a French flight attendant. I have an outfit I wear on planes. It's all black and consists of a sweater that looks like a blazer and a really comfortable pair of black pants. It looks sort of businesslike, but it's also comfortable enough to sleep in. Turns out, in dim light on a red eye across the Atlantic, it looks somewhat like an Air France flight attendant uniform. I've been studying the French language for quite a while and had been chatting in French with one of the flight attendants earlier in the flight, so we were on good terms. Several hours into the flight, I am waiting patiently outside the lavatory for my turn as my new flight attendant friend was preparing the drinks to hand out to the cabin. We were chatting again in French. Here comes the man from LAX. He marches straight up to me and hears me speaking French, sees me in my black uniform-esque outfit and, understandably, mistakes me for an Air France flight attendant. Although most of the plane is attempting to nap, he demands in his loudest outdoor voice that I turn the air conditioning down because he's cold and he also wants a glass of water. Sorry, I don't work here," I say. He continues talking over me with more demands. I don't work here. Doesn't hear me, keeps talking. I don't work here. I'm a passenger, just like you. I have no ability to get you what you want. You should ask somebody who works here because I don't work here. He grumbles and walks off, complaining under his breath about
terrible service.
My flight attendant friend rolls his eyes at me and laughs quite a bit. I don't think he even saw that there was an actual employee just standing around the corner from me. Flight attendant friend goes and gets him what he asked for. I go back to my seat, chuckling. Ripe stars. If you have any funny airplane stories that feature entitled people or even Karens, then feel free to post them in the comments or on r/ripe stories. Also, if you have watched until here, please post some stars in the comments to let me know that you are a loyal subscriber. Pour water on me, lose your money. So I'm relatively new to Reddit, but I love this sub. This just happened to me last night. I just thought about posting it, waking up for all of you to get a kick out of it. So I have a hobby-like job working for a casino party company. They get contracted by companies to come out and set up some casino tables so their employees can fake gamble just for fun during their parties and events. Most of the time, employees buy tickets, like one ticket for $50, and a ticket is worth $2,000 in fake chips, and that's how they play. You can then turn in your chips for prize tickets and go through a raffle to win prizes at the end. It's a lot of fun and easy money for someone in college like yours truly. We had a gig last night at a nice hotel ballroom for a really good company too. I won't list the name. We are required to dress in all black with a button-up shirt and slacks. We look just like the actual staff of the hotel, but with a name tag with our owner's casino parties text on it. So I can sort of see why I would be mistaken for the hotel staff. Cue in a really good night, having fun, good people, good table dealing. I swap out with someone to freely take a break and walk about and grab a drink of water. Now here is where it goes completely downhill. What looks to be a 30-year-old woman comes to me and asks for a refill on her drink. It goes a little bit like this. We will call her Thick Skull or TS for short. Thick Skull.
Excuse me, could I ask you to refill drink? I will be right here.
Me? Sorry, but I don't work here. I'm one of the dealers at the tables. I can grab someone for you though. TS.
You are clearly in the waitstaff uniform. I know you work here. I've seen you help others.
Lied to my face, I was at my table all night. Me, I'm sorry, but I really cannot serve you. Let me grab someone who can. TS.
You do work here.
She stepped on my foot as I stepped away. I then took my foot back and now I was a little pissed because I'm wearing some nice shoes here that I paid for, and I'm proud of that because I'm poor as F. Me? Okay, look, I've told you I don't work here. You can find someone else. Hopefully you won't step on them. She now grabs the attention of an actual waitstaff member and asks her to grab the manager, and she hesitantly does. And I was actually stunned. Me? You do understand, I don't work here. TS.
Keep saying that to me, you will regret it.
Here the manager came. Manager. Everything okay, ma'am? TS.
This man refuses to serve me the drinks I asked for.
He looks at me and asked my name. And I pointed at my name tag and told him, and he immediately knew I did not work here. Manager. I'm sorry, but he doesn't work here. Can I get you a drink? She freaks out at this like full-blown screeches.
This is stupid. I'm not an idiot.
She proceeds to grab my water and flings it at me, and it gets all over me. Manager. Ma'am, we do not act like this here, and I'm asking you to leave. Leave. She starts throwing what I can only say is a tantrum, and then gets escorted out by the security they had on site. The table she was at had 10 of her tickets. 10. She also had redeemed some earlier too. That is over $500 she spent, with no prizes. She waited until after the party was over to speak to my manager, so about 2 hours, when we were breaking down the setup, and demanded a refund. He denied her and said she can go on her merry way, and told her the exact reason she could not was because she dumped water on his employee and he won't stand for that. She stormed out after bickering for what seemed forever. I'm really happy that the employer in this case was not spineless. And by the way, have you guys ever been to a casino? What was your biggest win? I've only been to a casino once so far, and that was in Las Vegas. But anyway, let's continue. Well, I had to call the cops. Hey everyone, I got a great one for you from yesterday. Half of my co-workers got stuck at a conference because of the hurricane, so the rest of us have been working ridiculous shifts to cover. Don't mind the overtime, and it could not be helped, so it is what it is. Yesterday I worked 12 hours, after having worked 12 the 2 days before and knowing I would have another 12 today. Last one, yay. Honestly, it was not horrible, but yeah, I was tired, which is why I did what I did in this story. I changed out of my work shirt before I even left the building, so I was wearing jeans and a tie-dye t-shirt when I wandered like a zombie into a fast food place to get something to eat. I get my food and kind of tuck myself into a corner to eat. At one point, I hear a bit of commotion but ignore it. As I get up and throw out my trash, I hear an old man say,
"Her, she should be fired."
Oh man, something is going down and I'm nibby, so I look over and the guy is pointing at me with this super angry look on his face. Glance behind me, no one. Oh man, he's definitely pointing at me. He starts yelling about when he was here yesterday and how rude the cashier was and how I messed his order up. I'm half awake and just confused. Look at the manager like, what the F? And he gives me the scared, apologetic, "I have no idea" look. Old guy still ranting when the manager says, "Sir, I would love to help you get this fixed, but she doesn't work here. I can help you figure out who it was, but it was not her." And as this sub always goes, old guy did not listen.
"No, I know it was her. I wouldn't forget that nasty face."
Okay, now I'm awake and increasingly getting angrier. Well, you apparently did, because I seriously don't work here and never have. Dude is not worth my time. I give the manager a "have fun with this" look and start towards the door. This old guy threw a chair at me. A chair! It did not hit me, but he sure did try. It got a bit fuzzy with everything going on at once, but the manager grabbed him up so fast in a bear hug and walked towards the door saying, "That's it, you're out of here. If you come back again, I'm calling the cops. That is, if this lady doesn't do so first, for you trying to assault her with a chair." Old guy said something about,
"She turned her back to me, now let me go."
Manager responded something like, "That's not how it works," or something. Like I said, it was fast and I was still a bit out of it. Props on the manager, by the way, he got that crazy away from me, his actual employees and the other customers, including a few children, in a matter of seconds. He pushed him out, still screaming, and held the door shut. Offered me all the free food in the world and told me he would happily help me press charges. Had he left, I honestly might not have, but he was still yelling and banging on the door, so we basically had to just get him to leave. So we called the cops to remove him. While we were waiting, the manager mentions the cameras, sends back someone to pull it up so the cops can see it. The cops get there, get the old guy in cuffs and start asking what happened. Old guy lied through his teeth, saying I threw the chair and the manager assaulted him and lied about being my boss. Easy as F to prove otherwise with the cameras. So he's in jail now for a list of charges. After one cop leaves with the old guy, another stays to get statements and all that. For a giggle, they also look to try to figure out what cashier was apparently so horrible. There were only guys working the entire day. They could not even find the old guy. We are sure he never came in. As I was finally leaving, the cop looks at me and innocently asks,
"You sure you don't work here? Dude."
Ha, I don't know why, but I laughed so hard. Asked if he wanted me to show him how to teach a chair to fly, and he also started laughing. That was a strangely wholesome story at the end, and it once again goes to show that not every police officer is bad, even though some people think like that. Has anyone ever thrown a chair at you? If that is the case, please tell us in the comments and give us some context. Alright guys, the last two stories won't be IDontWorkHereLady, but they will be two interesting posts from r/ripe stories. The first one will be a military wife story. Posted by you, BBB33. Army wife thanks private outranks a 3-star general. Okay, so I said I could write a book on military wives, so here's my first story. It was payday and I was at the PX grabbing some lunch before I went to buy some stuff for my husband to send overseas. The story took place while my husband was deployed. If you're wondering, the PX is a store that sells clothing, video game stuff, household stuff, things like that. It also has a little strip mall in it, but has a small store where soldiers buy uniforms and parts for their uniforms, as well as a bunch of kiosks in the hallway, and most of them have a barber shop where the soldiers can get their haircuts. At the other end of this PX was a food court. So I decide to stop and grab a slice of pizza because it was lunchtime and I was hungry. Well, during lunchtime at the PX it gets very busy, because everyone is trying to grab a quick lunch to get back to work. There was a soldier standing in front of me in line, but I did not think anything of it because they were all around. But then from behind me I hear a woman coming up yelling and screaming and pushing past everyone to get to the front of the line. She is the star of our show, the one and only Entitled Wife. Now on to the cast. EW, Entitled Wife, or Entitled Walrus, take a pick. BG, Base General. Lieutenant General 09, this will be important later. PSH, Poor Soldier Husband. Private First Class E3, also important later. And I have no record of this, I just got to sit back and watch the soap opera. Now onto the part you are all really here to hear the true show. Like I said, I was standing in line, I did not know the rank of the man standing in front of me when she pushed past all of us to get to the front. Here is how the story goes. EW:
Get out of my way, my husband has a very important meeting to get to and he doesn't have time to stand in this line to wait for food. He's the base general.
She pushes past me and gets to the guy standing in front of me. This is where the real fun begins. EW:
Get out of my way, base general wife coming through. Soldier, move.
The base general turns around slowly. Base general: Excuse me, who? I did not know the post got a new base general. When did this happen? EW:
My husband has been the base general for a while. Your NCO should really teach you some manners. And how to properly respect higher ranked people and their wives. I want to know who your NCO is. I'm reporting you.
Her husband is standing behind her. In complete horror, he looks like he was about ready to crawl under the floor to hide. PSH: Stop. That's the real base general. You cannot be saying those things. You're going to get me into a lot of trouble. I'm responsible for you and your actions. You need to stop now. EW:
PSH, would you be quiet? I know what I'm doing and who he is. I know you outrank him.
PSH: No, I don't. You need to stop. Sir, I apologize for my wife's actions. She thinks she knows everything. BG: Well, ma'am, if you know everything, then why don't you take out your phone, get on Google and look up military rank structure. And keep scrolling until you find 3 stars and let me know what rank I actually am. Because I promise it's much higher than your husband's rank. And if you want to keep it up, I can be the reason for the end of your husband's career. EW:
You cannot. You don't know what you're talking about.
At this point, the base general has had enough, gets all his phone and looks up army rank structure, and he shows her her husband's rank, and then he keeps scrolling and scrolling and scrolling till he finds 3 stars and tells her to read it. BG: Now, do you believe me? She turns white as a sheet of paper. BG: PFC, please give me the information for your NCO. And ma'am, you will be banned from all on base stores after today. She was silent. PSH: That's okay, she will be single too. I'm filing for a divorce. This is not the first time you've caused this problem. I used to be a sergeant, E5, but she caused me to lose rank. We don't have kids, I have no obligation to you. I would rather be single. Her husband gives BG the information and BG dismissed him. He literally left his wife standing in the middle of the food court by herself to go and fill out divorce papers. I found out later that soldier was in my husband's company on rear detachment, the soldiers who stay behind to keep the company functioning. Well, everyone else is deployed, and that she was banned from post. Even though I feel that's quite a strong reaction from the husband, I still feel really bad for the guy because he's responsible for her. The divorce would probably be the best option. And now we will continue to the last story posted by Stacy Rose, also on our subreddit, and it's titled Guy Beats 12-year-old Boy for Trying to Go Back to His Family in Line for a Ride at a Theme Park. So I worked in a theme park in the past and was reminded about this incident that happened in the theme park because the boy that was involved wanted to find me and thank me. I guess he's been searching for me for some time now, just to thank me for what I did for him when he needed it. This theme park is a smaller version of Six Flags, but is still owned by Six Flags. And just on a quick note, and by the way, that's one of my lifelong dreams, to visit a Six Flags park with that insane roller coaster. Well, anyway, at the time of this incident, I was younger and working in foods, but had friends in all departments. I was a witness to what happened, and it still upsets me to this day. The boy was only 12 and left the line to go on the water flume type ride with his family to use the bathroom. I happened to be on break when he tried to go back to his family. At the time of this incident, Pokemon was the big thing then, and the games had huge, and I do mean huge, Pokemon stuffed toys people could win. There was Pikachu, Squirtle, Bulbasaur and Charmander. And sorry if I butcher these Pokemon names, because I'm only used to the German ones. They were adorable but very hard to win. They had smaller ones too of these same Pokemon. I saw the boy trying to go back to his family in line. It was a huge line, and when he passed this huge guy that had to be some kind of bodybuilder, things went sour. All the other guests were okay with this boy going back to his family, but not this guy. He lost his temper on that poor boy and started screaming and yelling at him. People in the line were trying to tell this man to calm down, that the boy was only trying to get back up in line with his family, but this man was not having any of it. And then the worst thing I have ever been a witness to happened. This man started beating that boy. His wife, that was with him, started screaming at him to leave the boy alone, that it was okay for him to go be with his family, but this guy was in a rage. I was standing next to my friend in games and we both witnessed it. I got on the radio and radioed security to get there as soon as possible. That there was a grown man beating on a child. I could hear this boy screaming and crying, and his family must have heard it because they made their way down to him and were trying to pull this man off their son. Other families were trying to pull this man off as well and screaming at him. Some families left the line with their little kids so they would not witness it. The wife of this man was pounding on her husband's head, trying to get him to leave this boy alone. I stood by as a witness in horror, watching all of this, not knowing what the outcome would be, but I refused to leave because I knew they would need me as a witness. Same with my co-workers that worked in foods and games who saw it. The ride operator did not see it because they were way up at the top of the flume, letting families on the logs that were the boats you rode. Security got there and it took 4 security guys, the man's wife, the boy's father and some other guests to finally pull him off the boy. The poor boy was in bad shape. The police were called and so was the ambulance. I remember giving my statement to the security and the police on what happened. The mother of the boy got in the ambulance with her son, but before they left, me and the game's manager grabbed the 4 big Pokemon stuffed animals and handed them to the family. The game's manager said it was a thoughtful gesture on my part, but I just felt like there should have been something more that I could do. We all later found out that the big man who was beating on the boy got arrested and now has to go to court for child endangerment and assault. On top of that, his wife left him, but she paid for the boy's hospital stay. The boy had 2 broken ribs, a broken arm and a black eye, but was happy with having the 4 huge Pokemon stuffed animals. The park I worked for gave this family a season pass for when he got better to come back with those fast passes to cut in the front of lines of the popular rides like that log flume ride the boy loves. A lot of us could not understand what was going on in that man's head. Why would anyone beat on someone that is smaller than them? It was the worst thing I've ever witnessed before in my life. I don't work for that park anymore, but I do go back from time to time as a guest to check out the new rides. The boy is older now, but remembered that it was my idea to give him the Pokemon stuffed animals and to call security, and wanted to thank me in person. When I got to meet him, he gave me a huge hug and thanked me. He told me he still has those Pokemon stuffed animals and does not plan on ever getting rid of them, even though they take up a lot of space in his bedroom. I heard he also thanked each of the security guards, the game's manager, and the ex-wife of the man that beat him. The man is still serving time behind bars where he belongs. He told me he still goes back to the park with his family and he still loves that log flume ride. We made plans to go back to the park next summer so I can meet the rest of the family and just have a day of fun. Have you guys ever been to Six Flags? I'm genuinely curious if it's as good as I imagine. Please tell me in the comments about your experiences if you have ever been to that park. But either way, that's all the content I have for you today, as per usual. If you enjoy my videos, don't forget to click the like button, leave a comment and also subscribe and click the bell icon to not miss any of my videos. So I hope you have a fantastic day and I see you again tomorrow.